who believed Jesus was eaten by wild dogs, was given an award by the Greek Archdiocese's Archbishop Maximos back in the 80s. Just thought I'd throw
Not
that out.
surprising.
No, it's not. It's not at all.
No.
All right. Okay. So welcome, and this is probably going to be our last call because it's already been 2.5 hours. But in any case,
okay.
Yeah. But can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Okay. First off, I do want to say the other Paul basically produced Craig's video. His production values were excellent, very easy to watch. It was a good video. Overall, I had some issues.
Yeah, that's what I want to ask real quick. What's like your were those issues like? I assume they're historical.
Yes, the biggest one that I had personally, and Bishop Enoch found a couple of other ones, but he felt they were more minor. But my thing was the whole the reduction of the schism involving Saint Meletius, because it didn't mention other parties. It kind of just mentioned Rome and Saint Meletius, not pointing out that Rome recognized another party, which made the situation far more confusing than it was. And it was that in that sense, sure, it answers a Roman Catholic who, can say Rome was wrong, but it doesn't totally represent the reality of the confusing nature of the situation. That's just
okay.
My
do you think that omission? I'd like to ask you about that, but do you think that omission of whatever this additional party was? Do you think that that harmed the case historically in terms of it being a response to Rome, or just with respect to it being a response to Rome, do you think it was adequate anyway?
I think just as a response to Rome, it would be sufficient. As an exposition of Orthodox ecclesiology, it causes a problem.
Okay, yeah. So who was this third party? I've never learned about this, or maybe I do. I just forgot.
Paulinus of Antioch.
Oh, yeah. Well, that. Yeah,
Paulinus of Antioch. Now, if other Paul, one of the. You may have read these before. I'm sure if you've read, but I would also encourage reviewing them again. Would be what's called the tripartite history, which is the ecclesiastical history of Socrates, of Sozomenus, and of Theodore. There's also, if you can find a copy of the ecclesiastical history of Rufinus of Aquileia, which is very they translated it, but it's very difficult to get a hold of a copy. I've tried to order them on Amazon, and for whatever reason, they always cancel delivery. But they deal with the situation in Antioch, and the situation was essentially this. And maybe if I'm going over already acknowledged things, okay, that's fine. Maybe other details. Okay, so in the aftermath of Nicaea, what happens? The Arians sort of have to go underground because they're defeated. All right, they lose positions of power. St. Constantine simply just exiles them. There were two bishops at Nicaea that sort of recanted back to Arianism, like Theognis, and there was one other, and they were exiled. All right. So what happens is the Arian strategy, and this is how like Theodore and Socrates and Sozomenus describe it, was, well, we can't openly profess Arianism without getting into trouble, all right? So we have to eat around the edges about people like St. Athanasius and St. Eustathius of Antioch, who are the big upholders of Nicaea, okay? So what happens is what? In the early 330s, they simply slander St. Athanasius. They claim, he was preventing grain shipments. He was going to overthrow the emperor. He was involved in necromancy. Remember, there was a council at Beirut, a trial at Beirut, or maybe another one at Antioch, where they basically brought St. Athanasius there, and they accused him of, like, he was a murderer, he was a fornicator, he was a necromancer who killed and raised people from the dead to be his servitors. I'm not kidding. That's actually what they were saying.
Yeah. Was this the Synod of Tyre, or is this different?
It was either Tyre or Beirut. There were two trials they brought against them. Okay. And so what happened is they said, here's the mummified hand that he used for his magical rituals. and so then St. Athanasius said, oh, really? Well, then he brings out the guy who they claimed he had killed and mummified to use his necromancy for. And the guy's alive. And they're like, well, he just brought him back from the dead. That's what he did. So obviously they went ahead and they just said, we're going to depose him anyway. And obviously St. Athanasius is like, I don't recognize this. This is just, I don't care what you're doing. But they never accused him of being a Trinitarian or believing in the homoousion. Why was that? Because if they start to accuse him of, Nicaea is still technically the law, the Emperor Constantine's still alive. If they go after the people holding Orthodox views for the real reason they want to go after them, which is because they hold the biblical view, which is, Orthodox, which is a, divinity of Christ, that are going to be revealed immediately. So they have to go after everybody for, made up moral charges.
False charges, yeah.
Or they're a necromancer, or they're going to overthrow the empire. So they get rid of St. Athanasius. St. Athanasius has his own people who don't accept it. Then they get rid of St. Eustathius of Antioch, where they exile him. I think he dies, in Armenia or Antioch. And what happens is they then put in, I think it's Eudoxus or Euzois, I can't quite remember, who was an Arian. Now, he was an Arian, but he wasn't necessarily deposing people who held, quote-unquote, Homoousian views, all right? Because the view was that as long as I'm in charge, I'm an Arian, I can preach whatever I want to preach, and, if you accept me, that's fine. Of course, there are major problems with having a bishop or a patriarch who's preaching open heresy, and you're sort of like, well, I guess it's fine. So what happens is they have this succession of people like that. Around 360 or 359, St. Eustathius reposes in exile, but they have this whole list of Arian claimant bishops of Antioch. Well, around 360, the bishop of Sebastia, the former bishop of Sebastia, who we now regard as St. Meletius, is elected. All right, he's chosen by Acacius of Caesarea, who is the tongue of the Arians, as St. Gregory Nazianzen called him, the leader of the Arian party. Okay, although remember, the Arians oftentimes, when they control the church, which this time was not in communion with Rome and Old Alexandria, or with St. Athanasius, I should really say. Okay, because the Arians put an Arian patriarch, Gregory of Laodicea, in Alexandria, but a lot of people didn't recognize him. They would say, they would sort of obfuscate their Arian position sometimes and sometimes not. That complicated history. So, Meletius is elected. The Arians think this guy is on our side because, look, Arians, according to the church histories, and it's, Meletius was consecrated a bishop by the Arians. That's all of those ecclesiastical were saying. Well, Meletius takes over Antioch. Well, guess what? It turns out either he had never held Arian positions or he changed his mind. All right. Any public?
Yeah. Yes, I'm here.
Let's continue this next Sunday. Because it's only point to other poll was that it's a complicated history. There were multiple parties involved.
And we understand that it wasn't designed for that audience.
Yes.
So that's
because I am familiar with that. Yeah,
and if that's I don't also want to say
I've just been involved in these discussions for years. That's the only reason I bring it up.
But it's worthwhile. It's a worthwhile discussion only because of the fact that it opens up a lot more topics for discussion. But that wasn't the intent of the video, and so in that sense, I kind of regret what I said because if that wasn't the intent of the video, it's like if you're putting a simple essay or a simple thing together for just regular Roman Catholics, then I think it was good for what it was, even if it was not accurate. It's just not.
Yeah, that's right. It was a very targeted doco, not per se. It was for completeness on the specific issue it was aimed
for. And it's made all the right people mad. I
exactly.
saw a thing. I saw something. There's apparently there's some Catholic YouTube channel where it's just devoted to attacking Orthodox now, and specifically the show you guys did, and they had a clip of Jay Dyer going off on Craig for 5 minutes straight.
Oh, I know.
Wow.
Yeah, Horace Godson. Yeah,
you pissed off all the right people. So
I'm gonna, Father Joseph, I'm gonna have to go. I've been.
I'm gonna go to soon. So you can benedicite.
All right, benedicite. All right, you go ahead.
I'll finish up. Okay. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so it's it's already kind of too late to fix what I said, in that sense. I mean, I recommended the video obviously, and so I'll keep doing that. Yeah, but my initial, I guess my expectations were kind of high too, but everyone's expectations are relative to the person. And I just have I was waiting for the definitive answer from obscure document, and that's totally not what happened. Because I'm not the audience. I was not the intended audience. So that's recognizing that, I do respect the work that you and Craig did.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. And I do, what I'm still hoping for, I'm still banking on, it's still an open question. Will any of the big boys in the Rome side respond? Even if
I guarantee they won't. And my suggestion is just keep advertising the show over and over just to make them angrier.
Yeah, and hey, the epic part is that the first doc I did for Craig, the Who Started the Great Schism, that recently got around 18,000 views. and the Errors of the Catholics only came out 10 days ago. It's already at 16K. So we're pumping it
Wow.
up. Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. It's good to hear. And Paul, if you ever want to come on, we're doing this live every Sunday, so we're going to do live call-ins.
Lovely.
And so you're always welcome. And,
Thank you, man. Good to be here.
Not a problem. So you have a great night. Thank you very much. And,